Okay, so I was very inspired by one of my Ascend and Align Accelerator members' weekly ahas, and she wrote it in our community for that membership. And I thought I really wanted to respond with writing something in the comments, but I said there's so much here that I'd love to respond in a video and give extra insight because there's so much here that's just gold. I wanted to share it with you and also respond in a video way because isn't that fun? So she was saying that she's having a great week. She actually just joined the program maybe about a month ago. And just we have 6 cores in the program, and she just started finishing the modules in core 1, which the 6 cores kind of correspond with creating space in and expansion in your life on all 5 multidimensional levels. Because we can't just create space mentally and not physically, emotionally, spiritually, and psychically. It's hard to really just create one little area of space because then we can't expand into other areas of life to create those great relationships that we want to attract and to create those opportunities to be able to step into magnetized passions and careers and being able to step into fully your purpose as well as magnetizing abundance. So I have a 3-step method that accomplishes this. However, a lot of people are like, well, which area is it? Well, it's kind of like you start doing this work, you start balancing and grounding your nervous system and tuning back into your own self-trust and clarity. It's like Christmas, man. It's like many gifts can come to you that you don't even expect. So it does affect all those key areas of your life. So she had mentioned that she had a big light bulb moment. She says, my nervous system is living in the past. And let me just say that before she joined, she's a very high achiever, high performer. She manages 250 people in her job, and she is like very, very efficient. But she had no idea why certain patterns kept playing out, why she wasn't able to really slow down and save her life and be present and really stop working so much and stop sacrificing, the family time and start taking more vacations and stepping into joy, the things she loved to do. And also maybe even reevaluating, like, does she really want to be pounding the pavement and pushing so much in her job? Maybe she wants to be making an impact in a different way. So she had been to, many different types of programs and self-development stuff, but she hasn't ever heard about the nervous system in terms of the spiritual self-development area of life, because you have nervous system coaches, which come from a very, very scientific background. And then you also have, spiritual coaches, which focus on, manifesting and intuition and releasing blocks. Well, I believe that it's most effective if you combine science and spirituality together to not only help you to create space and expand your life, but also to be able to keep and maintain it consistently. That's the thing. We can have moments where we take a leap or take a bound and then it's like it drops again. And we're like, well, why do we keep making 2 steps forward and 10 steps back and then cycling again and again and again? And that's scattered thinking and overwhelm and drain. Well, it's because we don't have the capacity in our nervous system to hold it, just like we don't have the capacity to hold our intuition all the time. It's not just, we're not supposed to just have intuition turned on when we have to make big decisions. Our intuition should be accessible. Our self-trust should be accessible, what we're supposed to do throughout the day. I use it every day, all day long. It's supposed to be accessible when we're driving down the street. Should we turn left or right? Should we go into this store or that store? Should we meet with this friend today? Those are the things we have to really tune into. So it's just interesting. She said, all the personal development things I've done, and she is a worker. She is someone who is not afraid to step into the work and do the work. And so she's been pounding the pavement for years. And I know this personally myself. I had done 20 years of different modalities to try to relieve what I was feeling inside and that scatteredness and that ungroundedness. And yet I served in the area of intuition, but my field allowed me to be disconnected from my body because that was comfortable, right? And I am really good at what I do, but I wanted the heaven on earth feeling, the ability to step into my aspirational self, right? So what does that mean? It means that we all have a vision. We all have a vision of that person in our head since we were a kid, or maybe a teenager, or maybe an adult, where we look in the magazines, we look on Pinterest and be like, oh, I really would like to have that style, that I would like to wear those clothes, but I don't really know how to do that. Or I'd really like to write a book, or I'd really like to wear my hair this way. Or I'd really like to, like for me, it was like looking at Pinterest of somebody with like cozy socks and having a mug of tea and just relaxing, reading a book, looking out the window. I'm like, I want that feeling, right? So I imagine that my aspirational self would be making these elaborate meals and relaxing in front of the window, and not like trying to relax, not sitting there and being like, okay, I have space for myself now. What do I do? And let me fill it with more and more stuff because I can't really sit with myself, right? So that aspirational self, it's like that highest level vision that you have for yourself, the impossible and sometimes possible, but I believe we can all step into those things. But when my client came to me, she's like, yes, I understand the aspirational vision. Like I could see that. And that doesn't really match with how I'm living today. The inside, what I want on the inside, isn't really matching on the outside when I look at what's playing out on the, projector field of life. So she just had this aha moment. She says, my nervous system is living in the past. And when Marisa said this, it was like a light bulb went off. The phraseology helped me see that the flurry of activity in my body and brain that's got me running around like a maniac in my head, right? And not accomplishing as much as I want is a coping mechanism, right? It's a distractor. It's protecting me from addressing what I need to address, understand, become aware of, and just love, so I can ultimately release myself from the frenetic energy. And that's a really good way to describe it. Frenetic energy inside all the time. And instead create a calm that allows me to be fully myself and achieve all the things. We're going to take that word achieve here in a couple ways, because sometimes if we're living in that frantic go, produce, move, achieve, that means that our self-worth is really tied to what we produce and achieve. And it's not safe for us to feel like we deserve to not struggle as much and have financial freedom, not struggle as much and just relax during the day and not feel guilty that we're not doing as much, or we're classifying ourselves as lazy. Or maybe we had those messages early on in life that if we're going to enjoy life, we have to push ourselves so much that we burn out, that we earn a day of rest, right? And people think like, well, I just want to make enough money so that I could travel more, spend time with my family, do the things I enjoy. But then when that space is created, what happens? They realize that it wasn't the space that was the problem externally. It was the space inside that was the problem, because they could take all the externals away, all the external clutter in their environment, all the external clutter in the mind, and they're still left with internal frenetic energy, as she's describing, right? So in my work and in my experience, and I've been doing this a really long time, almost 3 decades, right? In my experience, that energy is energy in the subconscious, it's in the body. It's stuff that all those imprints we've received over time. I call them energetic breaches in our environment, in our energy field. I've tried to do the quick fix, right? I've tried to do the quick fix and be like, let me just have somebody remove it. Let me just have somebody just release it for me, because this is uncomfortable. I don't want to be with myself. I don't feel like I could connect to others or the universe. And when I do slow down and in stillness, it's very uncomfortable. I used to feel that way. And I was like, well, let me just go someone have it removed, have it lifted, right? And I would go to Reiki sessions or healing sessions or shamans or have intuitive sessions myself. And I have that moment of clarity and that moment of feeling better, or get that massage and I feel great for 20 minutes. But then what happens? Happens again, right? And then all of that vision into our aspirational self, we don't have the steps we need to become him or her. We need those steps. Number one, we need to know how to take those steps, and we need to know how to suppress activation, number one. But it's not about removing activation, because our protective mechanisms are there for a reason. They were there when no one else was there. They were there to protect us when no one else was there to protect us and our energy. They're the only thing, that protective energy and our survival energy is what was like, I'm not leaving you. I'm here. And even though it makes us feel very uncomfortable, there's a tendency to want to be like, make it go away. I just don't want to feel like this. Dismiss it. Make it go away. That means we're still not attuned to ourselves, not attuned to our body, and not attuned to turning toward ourselves. We're tuning outside ourselves to try to numb that feeling. And that comes in the form of many things, many coping mechanisms, right? To make that feeling go away. We just want it to go away. So we will scroll, we'll binge watch movies, we will go shopping, we will get into relationships, we will work endlessly to the point of exhaustion, because subconsciously our protective mechanism says, we don't want you to feel what's going on inside. Because if you do, oh no, we've been there already early on. We don't want you to feel that again. So we're going to protect you by making you really uncomfortable to make you just want to be out of yourself. And our nervous system, which is what's doing that, is actually doing its job, and it's doing it 100% well. But until we are able to speak to what I call mission control and speak to our nervous system in the way that our nervous system understands and become aware of what our body's saying. Intuition is not just mental. Intuition is a felt sense in the body. So we could be informational channels, right? We could still be in fight or flight, survival mode, and we could still be very intuitive about our surroundings. Because think about it. It's like we're scanning for safety. What's safe? What's a threat? What's safe? What do I want to run toward? Because vulnerability is not safe. But guess what? We need vulnerability to be able to step into those bigger things. Think about it. If you want a deeper romantic partnership, a deeper relationship, you have to be vulnerable to go deep. We can still say in the shallow end of the pool, but that means intimacy. Maybe intimacy wasn't safe. Maybe being seen, heard, and understood wasn't safe back then. So dropping our guard wasn't safe. So we want this mature, healthy, deep relationship, but we can't even go deep with ourselves. So we're going to attract a little bit more emotionally unavailable partners, thinking that if we really want to be with these emotionally unavailable partners, we're available. But no, we're just attracting the opposite energy, right? Because we're emotionally unavailable too. So what is required to step into these things is actually what our system's protecting us from. And if we're in that self-protective system, we will be amazingly intuitive with our surroundings and people being like, oh, I have a bad feeling about them. And you're usually right. You can feel things, know things. But when it comes to making decisions for yourself, no clue. When it comes to saying, oh, should I leave or stay in this relationship? Should I leave my 9-to-5 job and my comforts and go and build a business where I'm making an impact and fulfilling my purpose? Oh, I have to invest in myself, and to make money, I need to invest money, but I don't have the money, so I can't invest in myself. That requires space. That requires that we have the capacity to listen to our nervous system and to be able to signal safety to the nervous system that it's safe for us to move toward those things. So everything we want is everything that our system's protecting us from. And that includes our own intuition about ourself and our own life. So that's something that I really wanted to point out today. Okay, so I was going to go over the second and third points that my client was making, but I think that they deserve their own videos. So if you're in any of my communities and you write something thought-provoking that really has to do with your own transformation, I will make a video for you. I will look at it and say, yeah, I want to talk about this a little bit more. So thank you to my client that's in my Ascend and Align Accelerator for being so thoughtful and deep with going into this work and really trusting it and doing, going through the work. It's what you have to do and coming out the other side. This isn't going to be easy, but there are rewards if you can combine your own self-trust and the work you have to do to get there, interpreting and developing your intuition, and also getting back that grounding and balancing through somatic work. Somatic meaning of the body, that we have to tune back to the physical vessel and reset the nervous system back to zero and safety so that we can get back to our felt sense, get back to our self-trust, build that highly intentional life, and finally step in to the highest vision you have for yourself. So if this sparks some inspiration for you, please let me know. And I'm looking forward to making the next video.